सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। So we are into the last main topic of Vivekachoodamani, which is mukti, liberation. In mukti, Vedantic concept, Shankaracharya ji will be explaining two types of muktis, Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. So we are into the first subtopic of Jivan Mukti, and in that also so far we have seen verses that explain five main lakshanas of Jivan Mukta. How that Jivan Mukta is Sthita Prajna, how he experiences that eternal bliss, how he is always immersed in Brahman, how he is nirvikara without any modification, and how he is vinishkriya without any activities, non-doer. These aspects of Jivan Mukta we have seen. We have also understood that these aspects are for us to practice. Siddhasya lakshanani sadhakasya sadhanani. This is also something that we have seen. Now, we are starting the next subtopic within Jivan Mukti, and that is karma nasha for the Jivan Mukta. How the Jivan Mukta is totally free from all kinds of karma. Now here when we are referring to karma, we saw in the last session, we are actually talking about karma phala. But in Sanskrit or in Vedanta, both, whether it is karma or karma phala, both are referred to as karma only. We saw kriyate iti karma, that which is performed is an action, and कारयति iti karma, that which makes us perform. So the results of our past actions, because of which we are forced to perform these actions in the present, that results, karma phala, is also called as karma. We saw according to this meaning of karma as karma phala, karma is of three types: sanchita karma, prārabdha karma, and agami karma. In the last session, we introduced these topics. Okay, so far we have not discussed this particular concept, isn't it? Prārabdha word has been coming, throughout, but actually what is sanchita, what is prārabdha, what is agami, we have seen. Sanchita, samyak chitam, well collected. So all the results of all my past actions, of all my past births collected together is sanchita. We saw whenever we perform any action, it either creates punya or papa based on my action and based on my intention. And as it creates the result, punya or papa, it also creates the maturity time when this punya papa will come back to me as sukha or dukkha. Good action will result in punya, and at the proper time it will come to me as sukha. Bad action will create papa and it will come to me as dukkha. Come to me means the jiva who has performed the action. So every single sukha and dukkha that we are experiencing in, while living, all are results of our own past actions. This concept should always be clear, number one. Second thing, not just in waking, even in dream and deep sleep, whatever sukha or dukkha I experience, that is also result of past actions. Some sukha which is not that strong to give me a real experience of waking will come to me probably in a dream as some small fleeting joy. In the same way, some papa also, which is not that strong to give me real experience in waking, may come in dream. Even the joy of the deep sleep is result of my prārabdha alone, my past actions alone. Okay, so this concept we have seen. Now this collection of all my results of all my past actions, of all my past births together, along with their maturity time, is called as sanchita. Then we saw before our birth, from that sanchita, a small portion which is ready to give its result, which is ready to fructify, separates itself. From this superset of sanchita, this subset comes out, which then makes me take the birth that I am in right now. So my gross body is created by that prārabdha, my subtle body is also created by that prārabdha, and since my birth, it has already started giving its result. Therefore, it is called prārabdha, prakarshena ārabdhaṃ, that which is well begun, already begun. Is that also, this point is also clear? Now, from the moment of my birth, while I am going through the prārabdha, I am also performing new actions. Some actions have already given results since birth till now. Some results have not yet come, which will come probably in this life or in any of the future lives. Also from now on till my death, I will also be performing more actions, which also will cause results. Either they will come in this life or in future lives. All these actions from the moment of birth till death and their results, everything comes under agami karma. Agami basically means future, that which has not yet come, which will come. Is this also clear? We also saw in the last session how according to prārabdha we get different kinds of birth. More punya, birth in higher worlds. More papa, birth in lower yonis, either on the earth itself as animals and trees or in the lower worlds. And if the punya and papa are almost similar, then a human birth. Why this human birth is special? Because only in this birth we are performing actions. Only in this birth we have purusha prayatna, self-effort. Only in this birth we have agami karma. Everywhere else it is just sanchita, prārabdha separates itself, fructifies, either gives lot of joy or gives lot of suffering, gets over, sanchita, it goes back, jiva goes back to sanchita, again the prārabdha is separated and we live life like this. Only in this human birth we can decide whether to increase punya, how to reduce papa, and how then to work on our spiritual path, which will be beyond punya and papa. Not even our birth in Swarga, okay, will give us this. Why? Because Swarga is also going to Swarga is also Bhoga Yoni. Why? Lot of punya is performed. We will have lot of things to enjoy. That's it. We have seen in Bhagavad Gita also, Kshine Punye. Once the punya is over, Martyalokam Vishanti, that person, that jiva will have to come back. Okay. So this concept we had seen. I hope you also remember the example that we had seen of fixed deposit. The overall fixed deposit, Sanchita. That which is ready to mature, prārabdha. What I do with it, Agami. Clear? Now we are starting the topic of these three karmas for the Jivan Mukta. Now this, so far whatever we saw about Sanchita, Prārabdha, Agami is common for all. For you, me, everybody. Right? We go through all these things. Now for Jivan Mukta, what is there? So let me just briefly explain what happens to the three karmas, and then we will start seeing the verses. Verses are there from 443 to 464. These many verses are going to be there. Okay, let me just explain in brief. One simple point to remember is, all these three karmas, whether it is Sanchita, Prārabdha or Agami, are connected to Jiva. And for Jivan Mukta, what has happened? That Jiva Bhava has ended. Okay. So Shankaracharya ji is going to explain to us in short that these three karmas do not apply to Jivan Mukta. That is going to be the main topic that will be discussed. How Sanchita does not apply, what happens to Agami, what happens to Prārabdha, we will see as the verses go on. But that is the main point, karma nasha. The destruction of these three karmas for a Jivan Mukta. That is going to be the main topic. Now before Bhagavan starts with that topic, Shankaracharya starts with that topic, he first makes some point clear before he enters into the topic of Sanchita, Prārabdha, Agami. What does he say? Let us see. Verse number 443. Vijñātabrahmatatvasya yathāpūrvaṃ na saṃsṛtiḥ asti cenna sa vijñāta brahmabhāvo bahirmukhaḥ. The second line is one word, vijñātabrahmabhāvo. So we will chant together that entire line, right? Together. Vijñātabrahmatattvasya yathāpūrvaṃ na saṃsṛtiḥ asti cenna sa vijñātabrahmabhāvo bahirmukhaḥ. What is he saying? Oh my dear Shishya, the teacher is explaining, right? Vivekachoodamani still, the Guru Shishya Samvada only is going on. What is he saying? Guru says, Vijñātabrahmatattvasya. For the person who has vijñāta, who has realized Brahmatattva, the supreme reality known as Brahman. Vijñātabrahmatattvasya yathāpūrvaṃ saṃsṛtiḥ na asti. For such a person who has realized the supreme Brahman, samsara as it was before, yathāpūrvaṃ na asti is not there. There is no samsara like before for the realized person. Okay. What is saṃsṛtiḥ, samsara? So many times this topic has come. Samyak sarati iti samsara, that which keeps on changing. Somewhere we had also seen that Jagat is the world that is created by God, Ishvara. On top of that Jagat, we create our own world, which is called as samsara, which is the cause of sorrow. Right? This is watch. Watch is created from the 5 elements which are created by God. No problem with it. The problem starts when this becomes my watch. Then anything happens to the watch, I become happy or sad. So on top of the world that is created by God, we have created our own creation. That is causing sorrow to us. With God's world, there is no problem. Isn't it? That is why when we go to some natural places, mountain, river, ocean, we enjoy. Why? Because there is no human samsara, impression, imagination, projection done on God's world. When we look at the mountain, we don't feel it is my mountain. That is why we are able to enjoy. Those people who have too much love for mountain, they cannot enjoy mountaineering. Why? Because while walking, they will be thinking, oh, all these youngsters have come, they are throwing their plastic bottles here, what will happen? The enjoyment is gone. Now no more they can enjoy. Why? Because attachment is created now. This samsara is not there for brahmajnani. vijñātabrahmatattvasya yathāpūrvaṃ saṃsṛtiḥ na. Asti chet. And if the samsara exists, na sa vijñātabrahmabhāvo. Then please understand that he has not realized Brahman. Saha, that person, vijñātabrahmabhāvo na. Then he is not a person who has realized Brahman. What do you mean? If Brahman is realized, there is no samsara. If samsara is still there, then Brahman is not yet realized. Both brahmajnana and samsara, brahma sakshatkara and samsara cannot coexist. They are mutually exclusive, independent. There is no grey area where there is brahmajnana also and samsara also. No. Now, we should ask one question. Why is Shankaracharya saying like this here? To make us understand that whatever discussion we are doing of a Jivan Mukta is from our standpoint of Ajnani. For the Jivan Mukta, the moment he realizes there is no samsara, there is no karma, there are not even lakshanas of Jivan Mukta. These lakshanas that we are seeing are only outer expressions of his inner joy. In Atmabodha, there is a verse, Ghatastha Deepavat Shashvat Swantareva Prakashate. Shankaracharya has played with examples of lamp and pot, many places. Atmabodha itself has so many such examples. One of the beautiful examples there, he says, how is that Jivan Mukta? He says, Ghatastha Deepavat. In a pot, in a jar, a lamp is placed. What happens? The real flame of that lamp only knows itself. Sometimes, because it is placed inside the pot, the inner walls of the pot also get some kind of effulgence. That lamp, that what we say, actually you can't even say lamp, that jyoti, that itself knows itself completely. Now some portion of it falls on the inner walls of the lamp, of the pot, and it illumines that inner side of the pot. And very little light comes out. Now what is this compared with? That bliss that Brahmajnani experiences is only known to him. Sometimes the upadhis which were there for the Brahmajnani get some kind of illumination of that bliss. And very little bliss comes out which we all see or perceive. So that which we perceive is very little bit of joy that the Brahmajnani is experiencing. If that person has got Brahma Sakshatkara, there is no samsara for him. Please make this point very, very clear. So the entire explanation is from our standpoint when we look at the upadhis of Brahmajnani working in the world. Even there we see a kind of detachment and knowledge and effulgence coming out. For the Jivan Mukta, there is no samsara. That is what he makes it clear here. If the person is realized, there is no samsara for him. If he still has samsara, then that means realization has not happened. Bahirmukhaḥ, he is still extroverted. See, all the words are clear. Vijñātabrahmatattvasya yathāpūrvaṃ saṃsṛtiḥ na. Asti chet. If that samsara is there, na sa vijñātabrahmabhāvo, then he is not a person who has realized Brahman. Bahirmukhaḥ, he is also an extroverted person. What do you mean by this? Why? What is your problem? You see, Vedji, okay, karma, etc. We are seeing, that is fine, no problem with that. There is something called as vasanas, you remember? Lot of discussion we did on vasanas. Vasana, anadiresha. Vivekachoodamani itself, Shankaracharya has explained. If a person has realized, are there still vasanas in him or are they not there? Why are you saying like this? Because there is a technical doubt. Okay, what is the technical doubt? If you say there are no vasanas, then how is his body, mind, intellect working without vasanas, without the impressions? And if you say he has vasanas, then what is the difference between him and me? He also has vasanas, I also have vasanas. Now, till now what Shankaracharya had said, that vasanas go away. Why? Because since he starts karma yoga, that time onwards, vasanas start to exhaust, no new vasanas are created. Then he goes to bhakti marga also, then he does japa, puja, dhyana, etc. also, then he does shravana manana also, nididhyāsana also, goes to nirvikalpa samadhi also and practices that also. Not only he realizes Brahman, but he gets established in Brahman. After all these steps, do you think vasanas will still be there? And if you say that vasanas are not there, how body, mind, intellect are functioning? Because vasanas are part of Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira has to keep supplying material to gross and subtle body, Sthula and Sukshma Sharira, for it to continue. That concept now he explains in the next verse. Let us see verse number 444. Prācīnavāsanāvegādasau asau saṃsaratīti chet na sadekatvavijñānāt mandī bhavati vāsanā prācīnavāsanāvegādasau asau saṃsaratīti chet na sadekatvavijñānāt mandī bhavati vāsanā. Now after that na, you should put a comma. What is the point? Prācīnavāsanāvegāt, vega, force. Vegat, because of the force of prācīna vasana, of our ancient old vasanas. See, vasanas have been coming like karmas. Vasanas are also being created from anadi time. In all our births, we have kept on increasing our vasanas, either this kind of vasana or that kind of vasana. But we have never done anything other than creating more vasanas or editing more vasanas or replacing more vasanas. We have not done anything. So that vasana bala, prācīna vasana vega is still there. Now if you say that because of this force of the old vasanas, asau saṃsṛtiḥ. He still goes through samsara. If you say like this, iti chet. If you say like this, na. So after na you should put comma. What is it? What happened? There is force of vasanas, 100%. And vasanas have been created for so many births, so the force will not stop. Just as prārabdha is in motion and it cannot be abruptly stopped, even vasanas cannot be abruptly stopped. But because of that, if you say that because there are old vasanas, therefore the person, the jivan mukta will still have samsara, it is not that way. Means what? You tell one thing, vasanas are there or not there? My dear, vasanas are there, but they lose their force. Sadekatvavijñānāt. Sat ekatva vijñānāt. Because of realizing that oneness with existence, mandī bhavati vāsanā. The vasanas become dull, weak, slow. What do you mean? Vasanas may still be there. Not for him. On the upadhis, the vasana pressure may still be there, but they are no more that strong. How they were strong before realization. So vasanas may remain. That's why a jivan mukta, after realization, you ask him, do you want tea or coffee? He may say coffee because he is from South India. He may say tea because he is from North India. He may say that. Now don't immediately catch. Oh, this person asked for coffee, not tea. Therefore, vasana is still there. Therefore, he is not realized. Therefore, samsara is there. Don't do all these things. Why? Vasanas may be there. They may come to the level of mind as desire also, but not as strong raga, dvesha, likes and dislikes like you and me have. We are insisting on a particular kind of life. We want things that we like in a particular way that we like. That kind of insistence is not there. That kind of force is not there. Further, so many times we know what we should do, we know what we should not do, still we are not able to do it. Why? Because of the pressure of vasanas. Because we have been doing it for such a long time. It has become such a habit that to change the habit takes lot of effort for us. That kind of force will not be there for jivan mukta. To explain this point, that sadekatva vijñānāt, because of the realization of that existence, vasanas, though there, don't have that force. He gives one example. In the next verse, Shankaracharya gives example. Let us see. 445. Atyantakāmukasyāpi vṛttiḥ kuṇṭhati mātari tathaiva brahmaṇi jñāte pūrṇānande manīṣiṇaḥ atyantakāmukasyāpi vṛttiḥ kuṇṭhati mātari tathaiva brahmaṇi jñāte pūrṇānande manīṣiṇaḥ. What example Shankaracharya is giving. Atyantakāmukasya. A person who is extremely lusty. Absolute filled with lust. The only thing that he thinks of is lust. Api, even for such a person, vṛttiḥ, that thought of lust, mātari kuṇṭhati. When he thinks about his mother, that lust does not come. How much ever he is lusty, for all other women he may still have that lust, but the moment thought of mother comes, that lust goes away. Tathaiva. In the same way, pūrṇānande brahmaṇi jñāte. When that Brahman, which is Purna Ananda, infinite bliss, jñāte, it is realized, manīṣiṇaḥ, for that wise person, for that person of realization, because of the realization of Brahman, because of the thought of Brahman, in the thought of Brahman or in the realization of Brahman, these vasanas have no force. The samsara vasanas may still remain, but they do not persecute him. They do not affect him. Why? Sadekatvavijñānāt. There was a great saint in Tamil Nadu, I don't remember the exact name now. He was a great bhakta of Kartikeya, Murugan Kartikeya Swami. But as a person, he was a very lusty person, it is said earlier. And he was not married, and he used to, just enjoy time with all kinds of, those kind of things. And he was staying with his sister. Sister was married and sister's family was there, and in that house, a small room was there, and that is where he used to stay. And it is said that every evening he will get that uncontrollable, lust, passion will overpower, and all his goodness will be overpowered. All other times he is a great person of knowledge, very soft spoken, very nice person. But at that time something will happen. Now once they say it happened that he went and he could not find anybody and he was very restless. And sister used to get so agitated and irritated with this one habit of his. So once it is said that the sister said, "Why do you want outside only? I am there. Whatever you want to fulfill, you fulfill. You can't control this much also. You have studied so much and you are such a bhakta and you can't control like this." She gave left and right. And it is said that that particular experience just shook him. Why? Because he could not even think of doing like this with sister. And it is said he just went on top of the mountain and he said, "There is no point in me living. What kind of life I am living?" But he was such a great bhakta and he just jumped from there. And it is said Murugan himself came and he saved this person from falling. All his lust and all his thoughts about women, etc. went away. And just he became so focused on bhakti and wrote so many kinds of literature. You know who is this person? I also don't remember the name, but well known this story is there. Even about Tulsidas ji, the similar story is there. They say Tulsidas ji was so much attached to his wife. Physical attachment to wife, there is no problem with having that, no, but that it was too much. Why? Because from childhood he never got that woman love. He never got. He lost his mother early. There was no sister, etc. So he never had that. So when he got married, they say he was so much attached that he could not separate himself from his wife. A lot of devotion for Bhagavan, etc. was there. And the story goes that she went once to her, mother's house for some work, and it was very far, and Tulsidas ji just could not stay without her. So at night he travelled and there was flood in the river. He crossed and then he reached. Now it was very embarrassing for the wife, because in front of her family, here is a man who is not able to live even for a day without his wife. So right at the doorstep when she saw Tulsidas ji, she said, "If this much attachment and love you had for Sri Ram, till now you would have been realized." And that incident changed his life. See, devotion was already there. Knowledge was already there. Sometimes a habit, a strong vasana, a strong prārabdha comes and obstructs. We can't do anything. But the moment that goes away, the path becomes absolutely clear. Now this we are talking about The people who realized, but we are talking about their story before realization. Right? Now what Shankaracharya is saying, one who has realized will have no pressure of vasanas to him. Vasanas may still be there, they will not create pressure. They will not create ragadvesha. That is what will happen. Why? Example is also given. Atyantakāmukasyāpi, mātari vṛttiḥ kuṇṭhati. Right? That way, even for such a person who has realized Brahman, because of that realization of Brahman, this vasana loses its force. Sometimes to explain this concept in Vedanta, one example is given. To explain that vasanas are there seemingly but don't have any force. Ego is there, so to say, but doesn't have any force. To explain this, they say that if there is a rope and if it is burnt, then that burnt rope also looks like a rope from far. It will have the same kind of structure unless you go and touch it. The moment you touch it, it is nothing but ash. So it looks like a rope, but it doesn't have strength of a rope. A rope can bind two things and pull two things together, isn't it? That burnt rope doesn't have that strength. In the same way, it may appear that vasanas are still there. It may appear that vasanas are still coming on the level of intellect and mind as desires and thoughts and actions are also happening. It may appear like that, but those vasanas do not have any pressure on this Jivan Mukta. That is what we need to understand. Also, as we said earlier, all these explanations are from our standpoint of ignorant person. Okay? For the Jivan Mukta, there is no samsara and therefore there is no vasana also. From our standpoint, even if it looks like vasanas are there, the pressure of vasanas is not there. And therefore, you cannot say that there is samsara for Jivan Mukta. That's the point that he wants to establish before he enters into the karma aspects. Okay, now that is what he says in next two verses also, explaining where the samsara has its grasp and where samsara has no grasp. Let us see. Verse number 446. Nididhyāsanaśīlasya bāhyapratyaya īkṣyate bravīti śrutiretasya prārabdhaṃ phaladharṣanāt nididhyāsanaśīlasya bāhyapratyaya īkṣyate bravīti śrutiretasya prārabdhaṃ phaladharṣanāt. Bāhyapratyaya is there, not bāhyapratyaya, no? Bāhyapratyaya. Right. So what is he saying? Nididhyāsanaśīlasya. For a person who is completely immersed in practice of nididhyāsana, practice of meditation, for such a person, bāhyapratyaya īkṣyate. Extrovertedness, bāhyapratyaya īkṣyate, is seen. Only till the level of nididhyāsana, there is a possibility of extrovertedness. Of course, because he is practicing nididhyāsana, that extrovertedness also is very, very less. But it is possible only till the level of nididhyāsana. And even that extrovertedness which is there for that person who is practicing nididhyāsana, why is it there? Bravīti śrutiḥ. Śrutiḥ bravīti. Shruti says, the Vedas say, etasya prārabdhaṃ. This is because of the force of his prārabdha. Phaladharṣanāt, since the results are seen. What are the results? Results of prārabdha, punya papa is sukha dukkha. Since the results are seen that he is becoming sukhi, he is becoming dukkhi, we can say that he is still extroverted because of the force of prārabdha. Who? Only a person who is at the level of nididhyāsana. Only a person at the level of nididhyāsana means any stage before nididhyāsana is fine. We all have sukha dukkha because we have not reached the state of nididhyāsana. But only till that stage, sukha dukkha is possible. Beyond nididhyāsana stage, when nirvikalpa samadhi, tattva jnana, brahmatmana saṃsṛtiḥ, mukti, in all these steps, extrovertedness is not possible. What do you mean extrovertedness is not possible? Sukha dukkha is not possible. What do you mean sukha dukkha is not possible? Prārabdha is not affecting that person. Only till the time of nididhyāsana, prārabdha affects. See how beautifully Shankaracharya is bringing all these topics. That is why Vivekachoodamani is so great. These are the topics that you will not see anywhere mentioned so clearly. It is because of such texts. See, Tattvabodha, etc. We study Atma Bodha. Such intricate topics are not discussed. Isn't it? But he is culling, that he is milking the entire Upanishadic literature and bringing us and giving. You see, did you notice this point? This is mentioned here in this Upanishad. Did you notice this? Not that the Upanishad wants to tell that as the main point, but it also indicates this. Did you notice this? What he also is trying to explain here is only at this, up to this level of nididhyāsana, sukha dukkha is affecting. Of course, till the nididhyāsana, that effect of sukha dukkha also will be extremely less. See, for us, sukha dukkha takes us for a ride. Now, a person who has gone through chitta shuddhi, chitta ekagrata, shravana, manana, and then practicing nididhyāsanaśīlasya is said. For such a person, that sukha dukkha will be extremely less. But still it is possible that it is there. Why? Because of the force of prārabdha. Earlier also in some topic we had seen that prārabdha itself is balavat. Here also it will come. Prārabdhaṃ balavattaram, etc. will come. Yeah, it is just few verses down the line it will be there. Here some prārabdha is very strong, you can't do anything. Why? Because some actions performed in some past life, you don't know. You are realized, but that prārabdha may still have impact. For realized person, that impact is not there. But up to nididhyāsana, that impact still will be felt. So, only for this nididhyāsanaśīla, up to this level only, this sukha dukkha will affect, not beyond that. Not for nirvikalpa samadhi or for the jivan mukta. So, when we were seeing the sapta bhumikas, the 7 bhumikas as explained in Yoga Vasishta, only for first 3 levels, first 3 bhumikas, the prārabdha, sukha dukkha, etc. will have impact. The 4 bhumikas thereafter will not have impact. Remember, tattva jnana onwards, it will not have any impact. Right? Now, that is what he makes that point again clear in the next verse, the last verse of this subtopic. What does he say? 447. Sukhadyanubhavo yavat tavat prārabdhaṃ phalodayah kriya pūrvah nishkriyo nahi kutrachit. Sukhadyanubhavo yavat tavat prārabdhaṃ phalodayah kriya pūrvah nishkriyo nahi kutrachit. What he says? Sukhadi anubhavah yavat. Yavat, as long as sukhadi anubhavah, there is experience of joy, etc. Sukhadi means sukha dukkha both. As long as there is experience of joy and sorrow, tavat prārabdhaṃ ishyate. So long you can say that prārabdha is continuing, persisting. Means what? For the jivan mukta, even this sukhadi anubhava is not there. Why? Because sukhadi anubhava is for mind. He is disconnected from the mind. He is not identifying with the mind. So even the joys and sorrows that we experience, or sometimes we see that the upadhis of Jivan Mukta is experiencing, joy and sorrow is not there for Jivan Mukta. Why? Because joy and sorrow will be there only as long as joy and sorrow is experienced, so long alone prārabdha is there. Now another concept he explains. What? Phala udayaha, the rise of the result, kriya-pūrvaṃ, is preceded by action. Means what? If there is an action, then alone there will be result. There cannot be a result of action without an action. Nishkriyaha nahi kutrachit. If there is an action, then alone there will be result of action. What, Veji? Now it is becoming too much. Now I am not understanding. What are they saying? If we are experiencing the result of action, what is the result of action? Prārabdha. How is that prārabdha being experienced by me? Sukha or dukkha. So if I am experiencing the result of action, sukha dukkha, so long only prārabdha persists, and that result should have had an action before it. Before it doesn't mean immediately before. It can be any time before, but it must precede. The result must have action before it. Without the action, result is not possible. Yeah, Vedji, but that point was already clear. You see, Jiva who has performed the action will have to go through result. So as long as there is Jiva Bhava, as long as there is experience of joy and sorrow, we can say that Prārabdha is there. Remember, for Jivan Mukta, there is no Jiva Bhava. No Jiva Bhava means no previous action. No previous action means no result of action which will be experienced. Why? Because without the action preceding, how will there be result? Is this point understood? Subtle point. Subtle point is being discussed. Generally, they give one example. There was a time, not too long ago, 30-40 years back, when we used to write letters. Now, because of phones, mobiles, etc., that letter, etc., has now gone. But letter will always be addressed to a person. Correct? And you will put it in the post. It will go to the destination post. Then that postman will segregate, will take that letter to the addressee, to the address where the addressee is mentioned, to whom you are sending. Sender is different, addressee is different. Now suppose when the postman takes that letter to the addressee, that addressee is no more there. You have written the letter addressed to somebody. If that person is no more there, what will happen to the letter? It is of no use. No, Vedji, there are other people in the family. For that, there is another example given. Suppose you yourself have written letter to yourself and have posted and have gone to another destination to receive the letter. Like nowadays they send in WhatsApp, etc., they send message to themselves. You know this? Saved messages. No, somewhere it should be there, because suppose people are asking to forward, now to search in somebody's chat, etc., in some group, it will be difficult. So what they do, they send message to themselves. It happens or no? They do. Now here it is okay because you are sending and immediately the message is received. In terms of letter, what used to happen, it used to take some time, delay will be there. Now till that time, suppose you are no more there. Now that letter which is written by you, which is coming to you, you are not there. Where will the postman give it? No. It cannot. Why? Jiva has performed the actions. Jiva has to go through the results of actions. But if the Jiva is not there, what will happen to the results? They will vanish. No, but for the Mukta, he has not performed action. Which result will come to Jivan Mukta? Nishkriyaha nahi kutrachit. One who performed the action died. Now one who is there has not performed any action. How will the result come? You understand? And that is why. Now these verses are basis for all the topics that are going to come. The basis is what? There are no karmas for Jivan Mukta. Karmas here means we are talking about Sanchita Prarabdha Agami. Karma phala is not there. And that is why he started with the topic that samsara and brahmadhyana cannot coexist. Why? Samsara is result of papa punya. Sukha dukkha no samsara means. That will only happen for a person who is still having jiva bhava. For Jivan Mukta, there is no samsara. If he still has samsara, then he is not a Jivan Mukta. Right? That is how he started. Then he said, you see, even if you say that because of the force of vasanas, there is still samsara, you are wrong. Why? Because for a Jivan Mukta, vasanas may remain or may appear, but force is not possible. Example also he gave. Now to strengthen the point, he said, only up to nididhyāsana, the result of action is possible. Sukha dukkha may come as a result of prārabdha. And Shruti says it is because of the strong prārabdha, nothing can be done. The nididhyāsanaśīlasya, a person who is practicing nididhyāsana will go through that sukha dukkha, get over with it and will go ahead of it. But only till that stage, prārabdha has got control. Once you go beyond that, prārabdha cannot do anything. Why? Because result is only there when preceded by action. It has to have action behind it. Since for this Jivan Mukta who is Vinishkriyaha has not performed any action, there is no result for Jivan Mukta. No result means no Sukha Dukkha. That Sukha Dukkha which comes from Punya Papa, that is not there. Now this point he takes to explain. Now he takes first Sanchita Karma. Next two verses will explain how there is no Sanchita Karma for the Jnani. Then the two verses he will explain how no Agami Karma for Jnani. Then he will take up the topic of Prārabdha Karma and will explain that also. Okay, let us see these. Sanchita Karma at least let us complete today. Let us see. Verse 448. Aham brahmeti vijñānāt kalpakoti shatarjitam saṃcitam vilayam yāti prabodhāt swapna karmavat. Next verse also, 449 also, we will chant. Yatkritam swapna velayam punyam va papamulbanam suptothitasya kim tatsyāt swargāya narakāya vā. Now both together. Aham brahmeti vijñānāt kalpakoti shatarjitam saṃcitam vilayam yāti prabodhāt swapna karmavat yatkritam swapna velayam punyam va papamulbanam suptothitasya kim tatsyāt swargāya narakāya vā. Ultimate example he is giving. What is he saying? What is the main point? Aham Brahma iti vijñānāt. because of the realization that I am Brahman, kalpa koti shatarjitam sanchitam vilayam yati. Sanchitam vilayam yati. Sanchita dissolves. Vilayam yati dissolves itself. Much better word than destroys itself. Dissolves. Why? Because dissolving means it just vanishes. Destruction means we think that something is still there. It dissolves. What do you mean? Which sanchita? Kalpa koti shatarjitam. Arjitam. That which we have collected in Shata Koti Kalpa, 100 crores creations, cycles of creations, not 100 crore births, not Janma Koti Shata, he is saying. Shata Janma Koti, no, he is not saying. Kalpa, Kalpa is one cycle of creation, no? We have seen different times, we have seen Brahmaji's lifespan, etc., etc. He says Shata Koti Kalpa Arjitam. Why is he using that kind of number? To show that it has been going on from Anadi. It is not that literally it is 100 crore cycles of creation. No, no, no. That is to show that it is innumerable. Infinite. Minus infinity. Minus infinity. But now what has happened? It has become zero. Not plus infinity. Shatakoti kalpa arjitam sanchitam vilayam yati. It dissolves. See, literally speaking, something which is collected for such a long time should also persist for such a long time in future. Isn't it? Generally, when we go for walking, and if we are not going for a circular walking, we are going to a place and coming back, like for example, mountaineering, etc. Then how long you have gone, that long you will take to come back also. Now, if we have sanchita of Shatakoti Kalpa, then it should take another Shatakoti Kalpa to complete it. It doesn't happen like that. Why? Example, he gives brilliant example. Prabodhat swapna karmavat. Swapna karmavat. Like the actions that you have performed in the dream, prabodhat, when you get up, what happens to those actions? They dissolve. Even if you imagine in the dream that you have lived Shatakoti Janma, in Shatakoti Kalpa, all the actions that you have performed in the dream, the moment you wake up, they are not there. Further explained in the next verse, Yatkritam swapna velayam. That which is performed at the time of dream, punyam va papam, good actions or bad actions, ulbanam, all of them, abundant. Even if we have done lot of punya or lot of papa in swapna, śrutiretasya. One he becomes supta. Supta means sleeping. Utthita means woken up. Once a person has woken up from sleep, for such a person, that karma which is performed in dream, kim tat syat? Will it be there? Swargaya narakaya va? Will it create swarga or naraka for such a person? Will it create heaven or hell for such a person? No. Heaven or hell will be there for the actions that you have performed in the waking. For the actions that you have performed in the dream, there is no heaven, there is no hell. Remember the interpretation of heaven and hell of Gurudev. Not that you have to always go to some world and experience heaven or hell. In this life itself, we are in heaven or hell, according to what I have done. Somebody has done lot of bad karmas, he is in jail and suffering, that is hell. Somebody is living a lavish life, he is in heaven. But remember, all those experiences are possible from the actions of waking. For something that you have done in dream, you cannot be punished in the waking. In the same way, in this waking state, for Shatakoti Kalpa, we have collected Sanchita. When we wake up to that higher state of consciousness, all these actions dissolve. No matter how many are there. no matter how much of sanchita is there, it only takes one moment of waking up, and all my actions along with their terrible results go away. Suppose I commit a murder in the dream, or I do lot of dana in the dream. When I wake up, I can neither be hanged for the death for the murder that I have committed in the dream, nor can I be, respected for the dana that I have done in the dream. The dream is applicable to the dreamer. So the actions of the dream and their results are applicable to the dreamer. They do not come to the waker. In the same way, in the waking state, not just in this janma, but all my past janmas, not just my past janmas, but in all the cycles of creation, whatever I have performed only applies to the jiva. The moment I realize aham brahmeti vijñānāt, the moment I liberate myself, all those actions, they dissolve. Please note this point. They do not get exhausted, they dissolve. There is a difference between getting exhausted and dissolving. Getting exhausted means what? Each karma phala will give result as sukha dukkha and then it will end. That is called exhaustion. Here it is not getting exhausted. Here they are getting dissolved. Means what? They are vanishing. Why? Because the addressee is no more there. Another example which is given generally to explain this point is what? Suppose a person has committed a murder and has been convicted by the court, what? To be hanged till death. And the date is also fixed, that this date, at this time, he will be hanged. But suppose before that date, before that time, he dies of a natural cause. Now what will you do? Will you hang the dead body? No. Then what happens? That law on which the signature of the whoever convicted him, judge, etc., that signature is there, that paper has no meaning. Why? Because the paper was applicable to the person who was alive. Now the person is no more there, punishment will go to whom? Many times it happens. In Indian judiciary system, some cases go on for such a long time that both the person who has applied for that case and the person who is convicted, both are dead. Now what? As a formality, you have to complete the case and you have to say that, on paper, because of all these things. Why? Because this result will be used by some other person in some other case. Therefore, they cannot just say, it doesn't matter, dismiss the case. They cannot say like that both are dead there. No, he has to give that thing and then they say that not applicable because both are already dead. Yeah, but what is the final result he has to tell? What is the point? The point is, if the punishment is for a person, but if the person is already dead, punishment will come to whom? Viji, that is my problem with judiciary system. This is an example. Don't think that the person who has committed the murder has died of a natural cause means he is not punished for his mistake. He is punished for his mistake because papa will still be there that he has created and it will create dukkha. Judiciary system is for social setup. Just because somebody doesn't get caught doing a crime doesn't mean he is free of that crime. Papa punya. In judiciary system, he may escape, but he will not escape in the ultimate Papa Punya case. Okay? So don't think that he escaped from his. No, not escaped. He will have to go through whatever Papa he has committed. No, he will have to go through that dukkha. But for whom the punishment was, that person is no more there. In the same way, the jiva who has performed so many actions and that sanchita is connected to the jiva, the moment I realize the jiva is not there, sanchita has to dissolve itself. You can imagine that the sanchita is kept alive Because there is jiva bhava. The moment that jiva bhava is cut, the link between the sanchita and the jiva bhava is cut, sanchita dissolves itself, it vanishes. Is this point clear? This is what we have to do in this life. Human life is meant for this. This is the maximum you can do in human life, and that is why we should do this. We can do so many things. We can create so many punya karmas. We can, try avoiding so many papa karmas. That is all okay. But the maximum that we can do is we can end all our sanchita. For how many births together we have been carrying, we can end it once and for all. Veji, one doubt. Okay, what is the doubt? Is this actually real? Sometimes, when I listen to all these things, I say, whoa, what is this? This is real. Why? Because Shruti says so. But Shruti may be, Yukti is there, logic is there. We have seen so much of logic. If that is also not sufficient, Anubhuti is there. So many of the Mahatmas have walked this path, have reached here and have confirmed that yes, this is right. Why will they lie to us? What is it that they are getting by lying to us? Shruti Veda itself says there is a Yukti that follows the Shruti and there is Anubhuti also. Never doubt. Enquire, but never doubt. Inquire as to how this is. Fine, that will give you clarity, but never doubt. Don't say that, maybe Shankaracharya is trying to fool us. Why will Shankaracharya try to do that? Why will he do that? No, but Vedji, who has seen? There are so many things that you have not seen. And that is why Vedas and scriptures are there. For things that you can see, why will the scriptures waste their time? This is watch. Scriptures will not say. Why? I know. I see it. Scriptures are always going to talk about things that we cannot perceive, which we cannot experience. Alaukika vishaya vedaha pramanam. Things that we can perceive, the scriptures will not waste their time talking about that. These are the things that we cannot experience with our body, mind, intellect. That's why they are doing. But we can experience intuitively, and that is why this entire Shastra, Vedanta Shastra is there. So never doubt whether really will my Sanchita get destroyed. What is the proof that I will not get birth again? What if, I already have destroyed my Sanchita in the past birth, but I am still born? It is not possible. It is not possible. Technically impossible question you are asking. Right? This is what we have to do in this human life. End our Sanchita. How? Through the realization of the Supreme. Now what happens to Agami? What happens to prārabdha? We will see in the next session. Okay? Beautiful portion. Okay? Today's session, as I said, just like last session, listen to it again. Some subtle ideas are there, some subtle concepts are there. Listen to it again. Alright. Chalo. Let us conclude. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om